ahead and jump right into this lace frontal sewing tutorial. So this is the hair I'll be using today. 3 bundles of this water wave beautifulness, okay, along with the frontal, and the bundles just looked amazing right off bat. So shout out to Yolissa hair. All their information is down below. I started off by bleaching the knots on this frontal, and that's really the only thing I had to do to this frontal. As you can see, it is pre-plucked and it is gorgeous, like bam. So here's the hair co-wash. It's so pretty. I washed it with the Shimmer Light shampoo. Well, I just washed the frontal with the Shimmer Light shampoo and co-washed it with this Aussie Mega Moist conditioner. But as y'all can see, this frontal, like, I had to do no plucking. The hairline looks absolutely amazing. Just yes, girl, yes. And as you can see, bleaching those knots really just made it look just like a scalp, okay? So next step is cutting the lace off. You can also put this up to your client's head and have them like hold it. That way you can get like a perfect mimic of their hairline. But I just decided to go ahead and cut it off, and I will work with it while it was on her head, which it was actually perfect to her head, so I didn't really have to do any more cutting. And then I'm just going ahead and doing her baby hairs and really getting it customized before I put it on her hair. That way it'll be ready to go. So I'm using mousse to lay these baby hairs today, and I just like mousse because it gives it a more realistic, not hard, not crunchy, you know what I'm saying, look. And especially since I'm doing her baby hairs right now and I have to lift it and put it on there, it'll just give us a nice natural flow and just, you know, be real cute, whatever. So this will definitely speed up your sewing process if you go ahead and have a whole bunch of needles and get them pre-threaded. That way you don't have to pause and thread your needle each time. So here is her braid pattern. I just did like medium-sized braids going straight to the back, all zigzagged up inside each other. And here I'm just moisturizing her scalp, and then I'm just putting that frontal up to her head, seeing how everything looks. It looks perfect, seamless, and I'm having her hold one side down really tight while I go ahead and sew down the other side. So this was something that kind of confused me when I first started doing frontal sewings, but I have learned that you want to make sure that you're sewing down that frontal right where the ear is. Basically not taking the very corner of that frontal because it'll be too big. You want to do just like that. Measure up to make sure it's fitting your client's head, because all that extra lace that's flapping down, you're gonna get that cut off in just a minute. So here I'm just making sure that her frontal is looking good before I do any cutting or adjusting to it. And now I'm just carving out her ear around that lace, and I'm gonna cut all the extra lace off. You don't need it. Normally frontals are always too big and you have to cut a little bit when you're doing a frontal sew-in. So yeah, you'll be left with that little flap for the sideburns, and then you can go ahead and get to sewing. So what I like to do is make parts where each of my braids is, but not each of my braids, I do like every other braid, but making that part and then doing my sewing right there. Now normally you would want to use nylon thread because it's a lot thinner and it's a lot more invisible, but I didn't have nylon thread, girl, so we was working with the cotton, doing what we do. But yeah, just trying to make that stitching as invisible as possible. Really try to do your stitching like in the braid, if that makes sense, and just try to come up out the lace in the same spot. I hope that makes sense. I really didn't get a close-up of what I was talking about, but hopefully that makes sense. So I just do that, and I just do, like I said, every other braid and just keep sewing until this frontal is nice and secure. Now, one thing I do want to point out, one of my mistakes in this video, is that I pulled the frontal back too much. You want to make sure when you're doing all this sewing that you keep that frontal a little bit past the hairline, because when I was sewing, the frontal kind of scooted back, and then you could see like her braids, you know, at the start of the hairline. When you want that spot where the baby hair is, you want that to be in front of the hairline. So really be careful when you're doing that. And then next, you just go ahead and sew down the perimeter of the frontal, making sure it's nice and tight and it's staying on there. And yeah, that's it. So yeah, sewing down the frontal is really not that hard once you get the hang of it. And then you just want to go ahead and continue to sew the tracks just like a regular traditional sew-in. And then I always show y'all this once I get like to the edge, because I do double my tracks. But once I get to the edge, I take that back track and I'll go ahead and sew it up, and then I'll go back, I'll start sewing it back, and then combine it with that second track. That way it can lay flat like on the sides, even though the sides is not really on her sides because she has a frontal, but I still like to do that to make sure it's not really bulky like where that frontal is. So here you can see what I was talking about with her frontal sliding back a little bit. You can see her braids peeking through a bit, but girl, it's too late trying to move it forward. So I'm just going in with a little concealer on her lace to hide those braids. And then I'm going in with the same mousse and laying down that front of the frontal because it's not gel down, it's not glued down. It's only sewed, but you still want to kind of lay down any kind of flappage you may have in the front, especially for the sideburns, because those are just, you know, there. So I put those wrap strips on, let her cook under the dryer for about 10 minutes. Took her out. I'm going to give her some nice little swoopy baby hairs with this Amber J edge control and this edge brush, which is a life. So yeah, after I get her edges nice and swooped, that is it. She is good to go. All you have to do to maintain a lace frontal sew in is tie it down at night, making sure that frontal is nice and flat. You can put mousse on the edge control. You can put gel if you would like to, but that's really it. So if you like this look, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe if you ain't subscribed, and make sure to check that description box for all of Yolissa hair's information. This hair was absolutely gorgeous. The frontal is what won me over because it was just bomb. Okay, so shout out to Yolissa hair, shout out to you girl for watching this video. Thank y'all so much for all the support, and I will talk to y'all in my next one.